What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today I want to do a Social Security update. I want to show you this exchange between Representative Larson and Representative Smucker, and they were talking about Social Security. I think they were also talking about the Department of Government Efficiency. And so we'll take a look at it, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video, and if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'll start. We'll watch this, and we'll talk about it. Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank Mr. Smucker as well for yielding me time before as well. But and listen, I think we've said it very clearly on this side. We're as much as opposed to the fraud and abuse that has taken place and want to make sure that we get at it. But can you imagine if it wasn't Mr. Musk, the Democratic one, and we appointed David Rubenstein, who Mr. Trump just got rid of, to say, you know, we're putting you in charge of finding $2 trillion. Well, I don't know. People are going to want to look at my credentials and see what I have. Don't worry. We're going to put you outside of the governmental process. You won't have to go through Senate confirmation. You will not have to disclose where your money is. In fact, you won't even have to disclose any of your governmental contract. I'm sure you guys would be silent. I'm sure you wouldn't have said a word. You would just say, yes, God, anything that he could possibly find in these agencies. And oh, look what we found over here and how abhorrent that is. That clearly justifies the fact that it's the billionaire class that we need running this country. There is no need for a United States Congress and individuals charged with the responsibility by their constituents. We defer to people of wealth because, well, they wouldn't have got there if they weren't smart and they wouldn't have had that money. But what has that resulted in? What are the real facts? In any fraud, abuse, or waste, in any governmental program should be gone after. But how about the majority of people, including in your district where more than 171,000 people are Social Security recipients? Are they all fraudulent? Or are they all getting fraudulent claims? Are the 17 million disabled, the 8 million widows, the $329 million your district receives monthly just for Social Security, is that
Will the gentleman yield?
fraud? Absolutely.
So that's absurd to equate what I'm saying with the benefits that the 100, I don't know if it's 171,000, your number, I don't know that offhand, but we're talking about benefits. We're talking about, I'm sure you know that, so I'll take that, but we're talking about benefits that are going to individuals who should not be receiving it so that those who should be will have additional dollars available so that Social Security doesn't go insolvent for so long.
We have.
Yeah, and that's a good point. The point is that people who shouldn't be getting Social Security, let's say they're doing it fraudulently, their loved one passed away and they didn't notify anyone or something like that, and they're still collecting the checks or just doing it fraudulently, taking Social Security numbers, whatever. That should not be happening. And if that wasn't happening, then you would have more money in the trust funds. You'll have more money to extend Social Security out for a little bit longer. Now, that's not going to solve the problem. You still need to reform Social Security. So they're still going to need to pull in a new revenue stream. So you're either a new revenue stream or you're going to have to raise the FICA contribution for everyone across the board. A new revenue stream would be raising the cap. So people who are making over $176,100, they'll have to contribute to FICA. Right now they don't. Once you get over that amount, you no longer have to contribute to FICA. And so that's a good point. However, when it comes to how you are doing, finding this information out, you're using an outside agency. And that's what Representative Larson is saying. He's saying, look, we have the legislative branch. Our job is to do oversight. Our job is to make sure the money that we approve is going to the right people, as well as we need to investigate issues where people are doing things fraudulently. So that's what he's saying. We don't need another Department of Government Efficiency, an outside agency that has no oversight, that has, in a situation like this, who does the Department of Government Efficiency, who do they answer to? And the answer is, I guess you could say, well, the president? Well, realistically, they're an outside agency. And so they're not a part of the legislative branch, executive branch, or the judicial branch. They're a separate entity. And I don't have an issue with a separate entity advising Congress, but I do have an issue if they're getting information. And I think that's where people started to get a little uncomfortable. When you have government information, our personal information, going to a third party. That should concern, that concerns me, because when I file my taxes and all the information that the government has as far as my social security number and all of that, I would expect that to only be with the federal government and not be shared with other people. It's just like when you sign up for something and they always give you that disclaimer. If you're signing up for something, they'll say, well, we could send this out to third party. Usually they will advise you of that. It's in that long list of, I acknowledge, I've read and acknowledged this, stuff that most of us don't read. But they're letting you know we can give this to third parties. And that's what they do a lot. They will sell your information to a third party. And that's why you get the telemarketers calling you and they know your name and they know where you live and all that stuff, because they've received that information from another company. And so in this situation, I would be comfortable, I have to file my taxes, so I have to provide my personal information to the federal government, but I want it to stay there. I don't want it going anywhere else. I don't want anyone else being able to see that information. And so I think that's a big part of it. Okay, let's go back.
Leaving it so that those who should be will have additional dollars available so that Social Security doesn't go insolvent for so long.
We haven't, as a Congress, enhanced Social Security in over 50 years.
Well, sure, but
we haven't enhanced the administration. Where were all these questions brought to SSA prior to that? Et cetera. And it took Mr. Musk, it took a billionaire to find this out? I don't think so. I think it's neglect on the part of Congress, both sides. But for God's sake, we owe it to the American people to say, it's the United States Congress's responsibility, not someone outside of Congress given a task to find $2 trillion. Why does that ring a bell? Oh, that's kind of consistent with the tax cut that took place in 2017 and that sunsets in 2025 and how much money we need. So I guess that's what we're applauding him for. But anytime he can find fraud, abuse, and neglect, we ought to deal with it. But how you find it and what you authorize people and the lack of accountability is not what a democracy and a republic is all about. That's our concern.
Okay, so that was an interesting exchange. And, I have to admit, they both had good points. But Congress, they really need to tread lightly. They need to tread lightly on this situation where they're allowing the Department of Government Efficiency to really get in there and say, yeah, this is, they're advising, but, that's the role right now. They should be advising Congress. But then you have to look at Congress and say, why didn't you guys find this out? Because that's their job. And so we, the American people, vote for these people to represent us. And if they're not doing their job and you have someone come in like Elon Musk and he's able to find all of this wasteful spending and this fraud and this abuse, that looks really bad for Congress, both sides of Congress. And so I don't know. You want to allow people to find out things, But you also, in situations like this, it's going to look really bad on Congress if they just sat by and let all this stuff happen and there was no oversight. They have oversight hearings. They have oversight committees. That's their job, to look into these different agencies to make sure that they're spending money in an appropriate fashion. And so we'll have to see what happens in the future. We'll have to see how this all plays out. But right now, I think the Congress they're going to look really bad as a result of if there's some real big findings that come out. They're going to look bad. So I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Remember, you guys can send me an email, david@thetecshow.com. Subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.